Serena's father thought he was making the smartest move of his life, dump his daughter on a mafia boss, wipe out the debt, and walk away clean. But the second Adrian Russo saw the bruises on her face, the whole game flipped. Gregory thought he was handing over collateral. What he really did was deliver the final witness against himself straight into the hands of the one man powerful enough to ruin him. And that is where this story goes insane, because Serena is not just escaping abuse anymore. She is about to watch her father's empire get ripped apart piece by piece in public at the exact moment he thinks he is untouchable. The twist is brutal, the payback is personal, and the ending turns one terrified girl into the reason a king falls.
Look at this, guys. Serena Vale realized her life was just a paycheck before it was a soul. She's been traded like a commodity to settle a debt, and she's ready for the monster Adrian Russo to finish the job. But check the plot twist. On night one, his eyes aren't looking for a trophy, they're looking for a survivor. Russo sees the humanity her trash dad tried to delete for years. This isn't her execution, fam. It's a ghost story finally coming to life. Stick around as this drama explodes and make sure to like and drop your city in the comments. I want to see where these echoes land. That night, the rain was pouring down like straight-up ink. Inside the Mercedes, every breath is a brutal reminder of her father's heavy hands. She's staring at the neon blur outside, wishing she could just glitch out of reality. If she could just melt into those lights, she wouldn't have to face the purple bruises blooming on her skin or the monster sitting right next to her. Gregory Vale wasn't there to give hugs. He was giving orders. He tells her to scrub the evidence of his rage off her face without even looking at her, like her pain is just a smudge on his perfect schedule. She touches her throbbing cheek, feeling the pulse of a fresh wound. He orders her to stay silent and keep her eyes down, treating her like a business deal about to close. When she whispers one last plea for mercy, his voice is absolute ice. He's not her father anymore. He's just a guy dumping a burden he's tired of carrying. That rejection was a total gut punch. From that second on, she was someone else's problem. They pull into the dark depths of a private estate where Adrian Russo's name is law. This guy is the literal architect of the city's most brutal underground empire. We're talking about a world where people go poof and debts are paid in blood. Gregory, the pillar of society, is literally trading his own daughter to save his bank account. Just a hollow man handing over a broken girl to balance a ledger, pretending it's just business. Serena's expecting a dungeon or a cage, but plot twist. The gates open to a stunning sanctuary of glass and stone, glowing like a dying ember in the rain. It's a palace built on dark secrets, sprawling through the night like a straight-up dream from another world. Money is screaming from every corner, marbles, statues, the works. Standing in the storm, her dress feels like a paper shroud. She's shivering, realizing the man who raised her literally dressed her up like a sacrificial lamb for a god of shadows. She played the part, wearing the silk he picked out because she knew the alternative was way worse. As they walk in, the butler gives her a look that's either pure pity or total disgust for her dad. He gives the signal. The master is ready for the delivery. The house feels like a museum of dead things, expensive and suffocating. They walk through halls of high-end art until they hit the center of the machine. Behind those heavy doors sits the man who now holds the literal keys to her life. No screaming, just a soft click. Adrian Russo doesn't look like a monster. He looks like a god of the night, sipping whiskey by the fire. He's all sharp edges and custom suits, a total predator who's perfectly at home in his natural habitat. He's younger and way more attractive than the rumors said. Mid-30-ish, with eyes that could cut through glass. When he talks, his voice is a low, dangerous melody. He mentions they're late with a calmness that's way scarier than any shout. He locks his focus on her, and it's heavy. When her dad tries to present her like a gift, Adrian drops a devastating reality check. He remembers the 3 weeks of begging. He remembers exactly how Gregory looked crawling on his knees. He walks toward her, smelling like top-shelf cologne and old smoke. He lists every single one of her father's failures, looming over her until the air feels thin. This is the exact moment the trade becomes 100% real. Her dad tries to bargain with her worth, but Adrian shuts him down. She's a person, not a product. He asks her age, 23, and then commands her to look him in the eyes, forcing her to face her own destiny right then and there. In his gaze, there's no creepiness, just a cold assessment of the damage. He sees the bruises on her face and the marks on her arms. Then he asks the one question no one ever dared to voice. Did he do this to you? The whole world stops. For the first time, someone actually calls out the violence hidden behind her dad's status. Under the weight of his stare, she finally whispers the truth. Suddenly, the room feels like a gathering storm, cold and electric. Without even raising his voice, Adrian tells her father to get lost. The deal is changing, and the man who sold his daughter is no longer welcome. Gregory tries to talk back, but Adrian's vibe silences him instantly, forcing him to run. That door click is the sound of a cage opening, or maybe a new one closing. Serena's standing there in the silence, dumped by her own family, realizing she's alone with the most dangerous man in the city. Her dad didn't even look back once. He tells her to sit, and his voice isn't even mean. While the fire pops and the rain hammers the glass, he just watches her. He doesn't make a move. He just acknowledges her pain with a heavy truth. You're hurt. The floodgates open and she spills everything. She tells him about the broken ribs and the constant nightmare of her father's temper. Adrian listens with a stillness that's honestly more terrifying than someone screaming in rage. He calls a doctor immediately, demanding care instead of obedience. Serena's mind is spinning because this wasn't the deal she expected. He's not acting like a boss, he's acting like a guardian. Talk about a major shift in the script. She finally asks the big question. Why isn't he taking what he paid for? Adrian looks at her with an expression that's almost tired. Turns out he's not a collector of broken souls. He's nothing like her trash father. He explains he never accepts people as payment, period. Her father just made a fatal guess based on his own greed. For Adrian, the meeting is over, and the mission of her survival is finally starting under his protection. He promises her total safety, food, sleep, and a doctor. When she admits she has nowhere to go, he makes it clear he's not letting her go back to the man who broke her. The doors to her old life are locked forever. He sees right through the fake polish of guys like Gregory Vale, the ones who are rotten inside and call it discipline. He knows an abuser when he sees one, and he's not letting that cycle continue in his house. When the doctor arrives, the room finally feels like a place to heal instead of a crime scene. Adrian steps back, leaving her to the care she deserved for 23 years, while the midnight rain washes the world clean. You're safe for now, darling, Adrian says, before heading for the door. He promises to be close if she needs him. Then the silence eats up his departure, leaving Serena alone with a doctor whose gentle touch feels totally alien. She lets her guard down, whispering about the maps of pain on her skin. But when the doc touches those fractured ribs, pure white-hot agony. Nothing is shattered, Dr. Chen says, acting like an anchor in the dark. Heavy bruising for sure, but you'll make it. Serena doesn't feel like she made it. She feels discarded. The doctor gives her some meds, fixes the cut over her eye, and wraps her torso tight. She talks about the slow road to healing before vanishing into the night. The massive office gets cold, lit only by the dying fire and the rain weeping against the glass. Time is just a blur of shadows until the door creaks again. It's not Adrian. A younger woman appears in dark clothes and says her name is Elena. Let me show you to your quarters, she says with a slight accent. Serena can barely breathe out the words. My room. With nowhere else to go, Serena follows her through the dark halls. They navigate a maze of doors until Elena opens one to reveal a sanctuary that makes her whole past look tiny. It's a cathedral of comfort, a massive bed with ivory silk and windows looking out over the dark estate with a marble bath glowing like gold. The closet is full, Elena says, looking at Serena's trashed clothes. The fit might be off, but it beats those rags. The bath is all yours. If you're hungry, the kitchen is open, or you can order here. She points to a vintage phone. Just dial 0. Serena is just staring, totally confused. Why are you being so nice? Elena's face softens into pure pity. Elena drops a reality check, saying Serena has clearly forgotten what being human even feels like. She claims Russo isn't the monster from the horror stories because everyone has baggage. Sleep it off, she says. Things look different at dawn. After the door clicks, Serena starts touching everything in the room just to prove she hasn't completely lost her marbles. The bed feels like a literal cloud, and the closet is loaded with designer drip she has only seen through bulletproof glass. The bathroom is pure luxury, featuring a tub deep enough to get lost in. But when she finally looks at her reflection, she freezes. That mark on her cheek has turned into a nasty purple and blue galaxy of pain. Her face is a jagged wreck, and her eyes look like 2 empty pits of pure trauma. She does not even recognize the victim staring back. Skipping the mirror, she hits a shower so hot it feels like she is scrubbing her soul clean. Dressed in a borrowed shirt that swallows her whole, she hides under the heavy blankets and pulls them to her chin. Sleep is a total ghost. She is just paralyzed in the dark while the rain drums against her racing brain. The cold, hard truth. Her own father traded her like a piece of livestock and did not even look back. But plot twist, Adrien Russo, the man from the scary legends, is actually healing her instead of being a predator. She double-checked the lock just to be safe because her world was officially broken. By the time the gray morning light hits the curtains, she finally passes out. It is a short nap, interrupted by a polite knock. Some guy says Russo sent him to announce that breakfast is served. Serena sits up and her ribs feel like they are on fire. She hears him walk away and starts moving like a wounded soldier, throwing on some baggy clothes. Following the smell of high-end coffee and food, she finds a massive industrial kitchen. Adrian is already there, chilling at a marble island and grinding on his tablet with a steaming cup of liquid gold right beside him. He looks up with a heavy, unreadable vibe and asks how her body is holding up. Everything is a wreck, she says, hovering in the doorway like a spirit. But it is a better kind of hurt. He tells her to grab a seat because there is enough food for an entire army. Elena drops off a massive feast and disappears with a tiny smile. She goes full beast mode on the food because she is absolutely starving. This meal makes everything feel real again. When she finally slows down, Adrian slides some coffee her way, noting she takes it black. He puts the tablet away and locks in on her. I have got some tough questions, he warns, and they are not going to be easy. He tells her to speak up if it gets too heavy, and she grips that mug like a literal life jacket. He asks how long her father has been using her as a human punching bag. Since I was 14, she whispers, right after my mother died. Without her mom to act as a shield, she was the only thing left to break. Russo's jaw turns to stone. He asks the dark question, if her dad ever crossed the ultimate line. Serena shakes her head fast, clarifying it was just the physical hits and the bruises. He once threw glass at her, but that was the limit. Russo takes a long, controlled breath. That is the only win here, he says. Did any teachers or cops ever notice? She tells him she was kept on total lockdown. She explains that teachers do not ask questions when the grades are high and the student is quiet. Plus, the name Gregory Vale shuts people up real quick. Names lose their power eventually, Adrian growls. Serena asks why he even cares about the details. He tells her he needs to know the level of rot he is dealing with. He reveals her dad is a fraud, living on borrowed time and fake records. His whole empire is a house of cards, and the wind is finally blowing it down. Dragging her here was his last-ditch Hail Mary play, thinking she was leverage for some mercy. He was dead wrong. So what happens to him? She asks. Russo says that is a variable. He says the father is finished, but how hard he falls is up for debate. Then he drops the ultimate question. What do you want to see happen? Serena is absolutely stunned. It is the first time in 21 years that anyone has actually asked for her opinion, like she is a real person and not just a pawn. He treats her like her voice actually matters, which is a total first. She admits she has no answer yet, and he says that is fine. He stands up to leave, telling her the house is her fortress for now. He tells her to just vibe and reflect, and they will talk about the future once her head clears. What if I just walk out? She asks. He looks at her with pure intensity and says the door stays open. She is not a prisoner and never was. Her father's vote has been permanently canceled. The choice is yours now, he says, not his, and definitely not mine. He leaves her there in the sun with a tiny spark of hope. The next week is a total blur. Serena wanders the massive estate like a ghost, caught between being a guest and a refugee. Elena keeps the food coming, the doctor checks her bruises, and a young guy named Marcus becomes her constant helper. It is a billionaire lifestyle built on the back of a total nightmare. Adrian is usually busy with his dark business, but whenever he returns, he checks on her or does something low-key nice. Sometimes they talk, sometimes they just sit in silence. After 7 days of this new life, the pressure of not knowing the why finally makes her break the silence during a quiet evening. They are hanging out in the library, a massive room full of old books that feels like a safe zone. Serena has been spending her days on the rolling ladders, getting lost in the shelves. Adrian is grinding on paperwork at his desk while she sits in a giant chair, staring at the same page for an hour. Why did you really take me? She blurs out. He tries to give the political answer, but she is not having it. She wants to know why he is shielding a girl he does not even know. I am nothing to you, she says. He stares at her for a long minute before closing his book and giving her his full attention. He drops a massive trauma bomb. When he was 17, his dad sold his 15-year-old sister to pay off a gambling debt. She was a genius who wanted to be a doctor, but she was traded like a chip. His voice is flat, but you can feel the jagged pain underneath. The guy who bought her played a sick game before destroying her. His sister came home a shell of herself and ended her life 2 years later. His dad never even felt guilty. He died a pathetic drunk in a gutter, still looking for his next big win. Adrian grips the chair until his knuckles turn white. It is a brutal backstory that explains exactly why he is the way he is. As for the man who broke his sister, Russo says he made sure that guy never hurt anyone ever again. He spent years climbing the ladder just to get close enough to take his time with the revenge. Serena does not feel like running. She just feels a deep sadness for the kid who had to become a monster for justice. Don't get it twisted, Serena. I'm no saint. Adrian growled, his voice like sandpaper on silk. I don't do the whole savior thing. My hands are dirty from a legacy built on literal bones. I've wrecked both the guilty and the innocent. Being a hero isn't in my DNA. He dropped a smile like a winter morning, bright but stone cold. Call me a fraud, he muttered, blending into the shadows. I work in the dark, but your dad's specific brand of evil? It made me sick, watching how he tossed you aside like trash that night. I couldn't just sit there. Maybe it's my own twisted way of making amends, but I wasn't letting that slide. Serena shut her book as the air turned heavy. So, what's the plan? Adrian paced by the window, watching the moonlight hit the lawn. We're deleting him. While he's been busy hiding his crimes and begging for table scraps, I've already sent a swarm of lawyers and sharks to strip his life to the bone. The truth is way more disgusting than you think, he added, his voice dropping an octave. He spilled the tea, charities robbed, investors left with zero, and neighborhoods built on the backs of the poor. For 20 years, Gregory Vale played the perfect citizen while secretly being a human-shaped parasite to everyone he met. Where do I fit into his scheme? Serena's voice shook. Adrian turned, his eyes like lasers. To him, you were just a paycheck. He grabbed a $2 million insurance policy on you 3 months ago. Your death was his golden parachute. That beatdown wasn't just rage. It was a literal rehearsal for your funeral. He was cornered, Adrian said, jaw locked. When the bills came due, he tried to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, ship you off to a monster like me, and hope I'd finish the job. But I didn't follow the script. Now he's stuck. He can't get the cash while you're alive, and he can't touch you with me here. The cage is locked, he said, stepping into her space. He's got 0 exits left. Now, Serena, tell me how hard you want the hammer to fall. I can make him vanish quietly, let him rot in debt, or I can rip his mask off in front of the whole planet. I'll make sure his name means monster forever. She remembered the long sleeves in July, the way her heart skipped at every loud noise, and his eyes that last night. He didn't see a daughter. He saw a liability that needed to be cashed out. The memory of that ice-cold stare burned in her throat like a shot of straight battery acid. I want everyone to see the truth, she whispered. A lethal, real smile finally hit Adrian's face. Then we'll give them a show. Over the next 14 days, they built a literal war room. They didn't just find dirt. They designed a masterpiece of destruction, tracking every single tremor of Gregory Vale's pathetic soul for maximum damage. As the days blurred together, the walls between them started to crack. The professional vibe melted into late-night talk. He admitted to the body count it took to build his kingdom, while she mourned the girl she used to be before her father tried to snuff out her light in the darkness. He wasn't just a guard anymore. He was a mentor. He taught her to spot a lie in a man's eyes and how to own a room with a single look. Fear is a weapon, he told her. Don't let it freeze you. Let it sharpen you into something that nobody can ever break again. You've got a spark he couldn't put out, Adrienne noted in the gym. Between hits, he reminded her that surviving years of that hell didn't make her fragile. It proved she had an iron will that her father never had, despite all the power he stole from everyone else around him. Serena blocked a hit, moving exactly like he taught. I don't feel strong, she panted. He kept the pressure on. Strength isn't about being untouchable. It's about standing back up every single time you get dropped. They pushed until her lungs were screaming, and for once, the weight on her chest actually felt lighter. She found him later that night, surrounded by shadows and the smell of expensive whiskey. "How much longer?" she asked. He looked up, exhausted but focused. 7 days. There's a big charity gala where they're crowning him a saint. It's the perfect stage for a public execution of his entire reputation. "I'm going with you," Serena said, leaving no room for no. Adrian paused, looking her over. "I need to see his world burn down," she added. Finally, he nodded. "Fine, but my house, my rules. You stay close and follow my lead. We're doing this in a way that keeps you safe." "And after the dust settles?" Adrian asked, standing up. "What does Serena want then?" She already had the answer ready. "I want to be the shield I never had. I'm going to build a sanctuary for the broken, a place where they can finally find some peace and a brand new start." "Then we'll build the first brick together," he promised. It wasn't some cheesy romance story. It was a ride or die pact between two damaged people trying to get whole. That night, the nightmares actually stayed away, and she finally slept in a silence that actually felt like real peace. The ballroom was a sea of expensive silk and fake-ass smiles. Dudes in $5,000 suits were sipping champagne, acting out their roles in this high society play. In the center stood Gregory Vale, the star of the show, soaking in the glory built on a foundation of lies and innocent blood. He looked bulletproof, like a man who thought he'd buried his sins for good. He hadn't seen her yet. Serena stood at the door in midnight blue, looking like the queen of the empire Adrienne built. The bruises were gone, hidden under a mask of cold elegance and a brand new kind of strength. "Ready to burn it down?" Adrienne whispered. She gave a sharp nod. As they walked in, the room's oxygen just vanished. All eyes locked on Adriana, a wolf in a custom suit, and then they saw the girl they thought was a goner standing tall at his side. The gossip started instantly. Gregory's glass nearly shattered as his face went ghost white. He looked like he'd seen a demon from his darkest nightmares. As he stumbled toward them, Adrian's hand stayed firm on her back. "Steady," he breathed in her ear. "Let the panic soak in first. Let him drown in his own terror." They cut through the crowd like a slow-moving hurricane. Adrienne introduced her to the city's heavy hitters, and Serena stared them down with a new, terrifying clarity. She wasn't a victim anymore. She was the star witness to her father's doom, standing exactly where he thought she'd never dare return. The irony was thick as people showered Gregory with praise. One by one, they toasted his kind heart, while the man himself stood on stage, choking on the lies. Serena watched him, her heart turning to ice, until Adrian squeezed her hand, a silent signal that the timer had finally hit 0. Suddenly, the lights cut out. Behind a shaking Gregory, the giant screen roared to life. It wasn't a tribute. It was a file of pure horror. Bank records, fake deeds, and the photos, hard evidence of what he did to her. The $2 million bounty on her life was displayed for everyone. A heavy silence choked the room. Gregory's face was a mask of pure terror as he hunted for a friendly face, but he only found the cold, judging stares of the elite. The man who spent 20 years robbing the world was finally standing totally exposed in front of it. "Gregory Vale!" A voice boomed through the quiet. Cops flooded the floor, led by a detective who looked ready for war. "You're under arrest for fraud, massive theft, and the attempted murder of your own daughter." The perfect life he'd built shattered into a million pieces in a single heartbeat. As they dragged him away, his eyes were full of a wild, useless rage. "You ungrateful little brat," he spat, his toxic soul finally showing. Serena didn't even flinch. "I'm not ungrateful," she said, her voice rock steady. "I'm just officially finished with you and all your lies." High society turned into a total circus of cameras and fleeing guests. Adrian pulled her away from the wreckage, shielding her until they were safe inside his car. They drove back to the estate, the city lights turning into a blur of history that she was finally leaving behind her. Only when the massive doors locked did the adrenaline finally crash. Serena felt a lifetime of invisible chains finally snap. "It's over," she whispered, looking at Adrian. "You saved me." He shook his head. "You stood your ground, Serena. We just made sure you didn't have to fight that battle alone." A small smile hit his lips as he tucked his stray hair back with a tenderness that actually made her heart ache. "What's the move now?" he whispered. The question was an old ghost, but the vibe between them had shifted. Serena looked at him. "Now we build something unbreakable." The road ahead was going to be brutal. There would be media storms and people who'd rather stay blind. But she had already been through the fire and came out as steel. That terrified kid hiding in the shadows was dead. She was Serena Vale now, and she was done playing victim. This was just the warm-up. The news cycle exploded before sunrise, and Serena's phone was absolutely nuked with notifications, alerts, viral tags, and DMs from complete strangers. Propped up in bed while still nursing her wounds, she watched the world turn her private trauma into the ultimate reality show. The Titans are falling, guys. Gregory Vale is in silver bracelets as his shady kingdom turns to dust. Then the real tea drops, a headline exposing his sick abuse, featuring a shot of Serena and Adrian leaving the gala looking like a total power couple. She's tired, sure, but she finally looks like she's in the driver's seat. Elena rolls in with breakfast and the latest update. The media vultures are literally swarming the gates. We're talking 15 and counting. Security is holding the line, but some thirsty reporter even tried to hop the fence an hour ago just to get a glimpse of the drama. Coffee in hand, Serena asks if Adrian is up. Elena nods, saying he's been on legal calls since 4 a.m, playing bodyguard. He wants her to know the world can wait until she's ready. He's basically volunteering to face the firing squad of cameras so she doesn't have to. What a goat. Serena isn't planning on hiding forever, though. She takes a slow sip, knowing her today has arrived. Looking in the mirror, she barely recognizes herself. The bruises are turning a nasty shade of yellow, but the real change is deep inside. She's finally finding her backbone. There's a new fire in her eyes now. She finds Adrian in his study, exactly where she expected, barking rapid-fire Italian into his phone like a true boss. Seeing her, he cuts the call with a look that says he's ready for war. The man is a literal blade in a suit. He apologizes, complaining about his cousin's weak damage control. Serena asks if he's actually better at it, and he's like, not even close. He asks how she's holding up, and she tells him she's seen darker days. That's when he slides a massive legal file across the mahogany. This is the battle plan for the next 72 hours. We're talking fraud, snitches, and a paper trail that Gregory can't escape. His legal team is scrambling, but they're just chasing ghosts. Adrian has basically built a cage and locked the door from the outside. The legal jargon is a total snooze, but the subtext is loud and clear. Her father is officially deleted. Serena asks what the mob outside wants, and Adrian tells it straight. They want the tragedy. They want the tea. It's time to decide if they sweep them away or control the narrative together. He suggests a one-on-one interview with Sarah Chen. No traps, just the raw truth. He reminds her she doesn't owe the public a single drop of blood, but speaking up might be her ultimate revenge. Serena shuts the folder, wondering what's even left to say. She weighs the silence against the world, trying to label her a victim or a pawn. She's done letting other people write her script. Make the call, she decides. She's doing the interview, and she's doing it on her own terms. Adrian just gives her a slow, approving nod. They're keeping the home court advantage for this one. Suddenly, a phone rings. It's Detective Morris, the guy who bagged her old man. Adrian hits the speaker because this news involves both of them. The tension in the room just hit 100. Morris sounds like a guy who's seen too much rot. There's a massive complication. Gregory's lawyers are playing the pillar of the community card to get him out on bail this afternoon. They're making a desperate move to get him back on the streets. Adrian's face turns to absolute stone. Morris says the lawyers are spinning a wild story, claiming Adrian brainwashed Serena to take down a business rival. It's totally ridiculous, but Gregory has powerful friends in high places pulling strings to make it stick. The detective needs a silver bullet, something so dark it proves Gregory is a literal monster. Adrian looks at Serena, giving her the floor. She realizes the insurance policy is the key. That's not just a financial move, it's a death warrant with her name on it. Morris needs proof of intent, though. A policy can be explained away, but they need the smoking gun. Serena's mind goes back to the months before her escape, hunting for the shadows and the moments where her father showed his true dark colors. She remembers the ice in his voice when he stripped her of her humanity. 6 weeks back, while he was deep in the bottle, he told her everyone has a price, even if it's only paid when they're in the ground. He laughed about it like her life was just a line on a ledger. Morris wants every single detail. Serena takes a breath and repeats his words. Even trash has value. Sometimes you're worth more dead than alive. The detective admits that's the heavy-hitting evidence they need to bury the old man for good. It's a start, but Morris needs the digital receipts, emails or texts that prove the hit was planned. Adrian is already flying across his keys, his team tearing Gregory's digital life apart. The hearing is at 2, so they have to move fast, or the monster walks. Watching him work, Serena feels a massive pull toward her guardian. Adrian warns her that if they use this, she'll have to say it again in court, and the lawyers will try to break her on the stand. It's going to be a total bloodbath, but she doesn't care. Let them try, she says, watching the media pack like wolves outside. She's finished living in his shadow. By noon, the digital ghosts are summoned, and Adrian's team finds the actual rot. They've got the receipts, guys, and it's worse than anyone thought. The trail is absolutely filthy. Messages to advisors about the payout and texts to a fixer named Jay about handling the nuisance. Plus, a call log to a literal hired gun. At 1:30, Morris calls back, sounding like he just won the lottery. Massive win, guys! The judge locked the door and threw away the key. No bail for Gregory. Even better, they picked up the muscle, a guy named Jimmy Roar. And he's already snitching like a bird to save his own skin. Jimmy spills the tea. Gregory paid 50% upfront to stage a tragic accident, a break-in or a car wreck, anything to keep the blood off his own hands. Adrian's grip on the phone is so tight his knuckles are turning white with rage. If Adrian hadn't brought her home that night, Serena would be a crime scene right now. She barely makes it to her room before the world tilts. The cold reality of her own father brokering her death like a stock is a chill that goes straight to her bones. She's gasping for air on the edge of a breakdown when Adrian steps in. He reads the room instantly and sits near her, being the steady rock she needs. She tries to lie and say she's fine, but he's not having it. "You don't have to be okay," he tells her. "He was actually going to end me," she whispers, her voice totally cracking. "His own blood." Adrian tells her the brutal truth. Gregory only saw numbers, never a daughter. That man was born without a soul. Serena's grief finally turns into a cold, sharp fire. Stop wasting tears on that ghost. She isn't mourning him. She's mourning the father he never chose to be. After a heavy silence, she finally finds her rhythm again. She thanks him for being her shield and for actually seeing her as a person. Adrian says gratitude isn't necessary, but Serena insists. He had every chance to dump her and settle the tab, so why stay? He finally confesses. He knows what it's like to be helpless and watch someone you love break while you stand by paralyzed. Seeing her that night was like seeing his sister's ghost, and turning away wasn't an option. Serena wonders if she's just a shot at redemption, but Adrian says the script has changed into something he can't even describe yet. 3 days later, Sarah Chen finally arrives. They meet in the library, her only real sanctuary. Adrian hangs back like a shadow of protection while the interview begins. Serena starts tracing the lines of her lost childhood, knowing the world is about to dissect every single syllable. It's showtime. Sarah wasn't just fishing for tea. She was digging for the real trauma. Then the vibe turned cold as she dropped the nuke. When did you realize your own father put a hit on you? Serena froze. The moment I heard about the assassin, I knew he was trash, but I never thought he'd pay to erase me. I knew he was a monster, but ordering a hit on his own flesh and blood, that is next level cold. The trauma must be insane. It never leaves. I still wake up thinking he is coming for me until I remember he is rotting in a cell. And Gregory Vale, that public saint, is a total lie. The world loved the rich philanthropist persona, but underneath, pure predator, he destroyed lives for fun and did not blink. I need the truth to scream. The reporter glanced at the heavy hitter in the corner. So, what is the deal with Adrian Russo? People say you are just his pawn in a corporate war. Serena did not flinch. Wrong. That man saved me from the wreckage when he had zero reason to. He gave me a safe house and the fuel to fight back. I refuse to be a casualty in his rivalries. I am a survivor who found a base in the last place anyone would look. Sarah finished her notes. Last one. What does the future hold? It is a blur, Serena admitted. I am escaping his shadow, but my goal is to save others still trapped in his web. I am building a legacy that actually means something. That is a solid foundation. Once the reporter bounced, Adrian poured 2 glasses of straight whiskey. No ice. Serena sank into the couch, totally spent, but feeling like a massive weight had finally been lifted off her shoulders. You crushed that, he said, sitting across from her. I did not break down, so that is a win. The truth hits harder than any victory. She let the drink burn her throat. She asked about us, what we are. I heard. I dodged it. I noticed. Because we do not have an answer yet. What is this, Adrian? Label it. He looked at her, the silence getting heavy. Maybe we are just 2 damaged souls who crashed in the dark. Where we go from here is a mystery we will figure out. It was not a proposal, but it was the anchor she needed. Then, a week later, all hell broke loose. The clock started ticking in court. The floodgates opened and Gregory's empire started bleeding evidence. His loyal goons snitched like rats to save their own necks. His money was frozen, his name was trash. Meanwhile, Serena stayed hidden, training her body into a weapon to replace the one he broke. Between studying and planning her new moves, she found a rhythm. Nights were for deep, low-key talks with him. There was this insane tension, a vibe they both felt but were too scared to name. Then one night, the energy shifted. She could not sleep. Searching for tea, she found him on the terrace with a cigarette. "A secret habit?" she asked. He gave a tired smirk. "Only when I am stressed." "What is wrong?" "The lawyers are pushing for a deal, a plea bargain for the old man. They want his info in exchange for a shorter sentence." She stepped out beside him. "Can they pull it off?" "Not on my watch." He blew smoke into the night. "I won't let him dodge justice. And if he does, then we make sure his name stays cursed forever. I will make his remaining life a living hell." The sheer hate in his voice should have been scary, but to her it felt like protection. "Can I be real with you?" she whispered. "Always." "Do you look at me and just see someone who is broken?" He turned his full attention to her. "Not even close. You are healing. That is a different beast." "It feels more like a slow burn of rage at him, at the world, at everyone who let it happen." "That fire is vital," he said, killing his smoke. "I lived in that furnace for years after my sister was taken. It kept me standing. Eventually, that anger becomes a tool, but you have to let it burn first." "What did it become for you?" "A mission." He stepped closer. "I decided to be the shield I never had. I chased power to protect the weak from the monsters. It is not a perfect path, but I am no saint, but I won't just watch." She looked up, caught in his amber gaze. The smell of tobacco and expensive cologne was overwhelming. "I am so grateful you stepped in," she whispered. "The night I showed up here, I was done. I had accepted I was dying. You changed the ending." "You did that," he corrected softly. "I just gave you the room." "Team effort, then?" "Maybe." His fingers brushed her cheek. The world slowed down. A shared breath, a heartbeat, and the choice to jump in together. The kiss was hesitant, like he was afraid she would shatter. She leaned in, finally feeling something that was not pure terror. Once they pulled back, his forehead rested on hers. "Is this okay?" His voice vibrated. "Yes." She had never been more sure of anything in her life. "And for you, better than words." They stayed locked together in the quiet. It was not exactly love. That felt like a foreign language. But it was a deep bond between two survivors who crawled out of the wreckage and were somehow still standing, scars and all. Back in her room, she replayed it. The kiss, the feeling of trusting a man the world feared. Everyone saw a predator. She saw the man behind the armor. They don't get that the people called monsters are usually just survivors who learned to bite back when they had no other choice. She dreamed of her new mission, saving women and rising from the ashes. For once, the nightmares stayed away. She woke up to a room full of sunlight, but the peace was nuked by screaming from the floors below. Total confrontation mode. She threw on clothes and followed the noise to the study. Through the door, she saw a new player, a guy in his 60s in high-end gear that could not hide his jagged edge. He was fuming. "This is a mistake you can't afford," the stranger growled. "Gregory's friends have long memories and they are lethal." "Let them join the line," Adrian snapped, cold as ice. "I am not backing down, Vincent. You brought this into my home." "That girl in your bed." "Watch it," Adrian cut him off, the room going deadly silent. "Choose your next words carefully." Vincent smirked, mock surrendering. "The street says you have gone soft," getting played by a waitress with a sob story. Serena should have stayed hidden, but she was done being a ghost. She threw the door open and stepped right into the line of fire. Both men froze. Vincent sized her up with pure ice. Adrian looked stressed. "I am not the help," Serena snapped, holding her ground. I am a survivor, not a puppet. Vincent's smile was like a scar. The bird speaks. Adrian, give her a name, or I will invent one. Vincent Caruso, Adrian said flatly. My partner, until now, get out. Vincent did not look away from Serena. Do you realize you just put a target on your back? Vale's crew won't let this go. You ruined him in front of the world. That costs blood. Serena whispered one word. Good. Serena told him public ruin was too good for him. Maybe, but do you think Adrian can protect you from every predator? You are just bait. Vincent shook his head. You are a ticking bomb, and bombs kill whoever is holding them. Adrian stepped in, ready to kill. Get out, Vincent. Now. Vincent drops the "we were brothers" card before basically telling Serena she's a snack for the sharks. He vanishes into the shadows, his footsteps sounding like a literal ticking time bomb, leaving her shaking like a leaf. Serena is panicking, asking if she's just a walking target for everyone in the city. Adrian keeps it real, admitting her dad's old associates are losing their minds now that their bags are empty. The vultures are hunting for someone to blame, and Adrian admits the storm was already brewing. Serena didn't start the fire. She just threw a whole bucket of gasoline on it by showing up. Serena stares out at the dark estate, wondering if she's just a massive liability. Adrian finally drops the mask and admits that, yeah, things are absolutely cooked right now. His crew thinks he's lost his edge, and snakes like Vincent are literally drooling at the thought of catching her slipping. The raw truth hits like a truck, but she'd rather have the pain than a lie. Adrian basically says ratio plus don't care to the rest of the world. He tells her she's not some chess piece or a debt. She's a human soul, and he's riding for her even if the city burns. He grabs her hand. No accidents here. And Serena locks in. If monsters are coming to get her, they're about to find out she's not that easy to delete from the server. Adrian goes full savage mode, but a knock at the door ruins the vibe. Marcus is there looking like a statue, saying, Detective Morris is downstairs with a life-or-death emergency. Plot twist. Gregory Vale almost got his ticket punched in prison last night. He's barely breathing after getting shanked by a lifer, and Adrian knows this hit has betrayal written all over it. The hitman is spilling tea, claiming someone on the outside bankrolled the whole mission to silence Vale forever. The scary part? Whoever signed that check isn't going to stop until he's deleted. High security is a joke when the contract is high enough. Now the law thinks Serena or Adrian are the ones who ordered the hit to keep the old man quiet. The narrative is turning toxic, and the district attorney is looking for someone to fry. Morris knows Adrian is too smart for a messy prison hit, but the public is going to eat this drama up. The defense team is already playing the victim card, claiming a private vendetta is targeting their client. Adrian promises to hand over his logs, but Morris warns them to watch the shadows. Once the detective leaves, Serena starts spiraling, while Adrian handles the damage control. Her dad spent a lifetime making enemies, and now the bill is coming due at the worst possible time. Adrian tells her to breathe, but she's losing it because they look guilty as hell. He reminds her that being in the light means they have nothing to hide, but the tension is peak. Morris is just playing the game, but Adrian is already shaking the trees to find out who actually paid for the shank. He gets a suspicious call and has to step out, leaving Serena alone. The silence in the mansion feels heavy, like she's exposed and vulnerable. She tries to hide in the library, but her brain is just a mess of static and pure fear. Vincent's poison is living rent-free in her head until Elena shows up. Serena spills everything about the blood in the cell and the police breathing down their necks. Elena gets it. The crosshairs are moving to Serena now. But she reminds her that being under Adrian's wing is like being in a fortress, no matter what snakes like Vincent say. Elena laughs off Vincent's trash talk, calling him a bottom feeder. She's been with Adrian for 8 long years and knows exactly what kind of man he is when the pressure is on. Adrian isn't a saint, but he's riding for his girl and everyone can see it. Serena worries her love will break him, but Elena says that's a burden he chose to carry. Time for some kitchen therapy to stop the mental spiral. The rhythm of chopping veggies helps Serena ground herself before Elena drops the real questions. Elena asks what Serena actually wants, not for the law or for Adrian, but for herself. Serena admits she just wants the weight off her shoulders and for her father to finally pay. She wants to stop running and actually feel the sun on her face for once. She's finally feeling human again after being a ghost, and it's honestly terrifying. Is it real love or just trauma-fueled? Elena tells her messy feelings are usually worth the pain, but Marcus interrupts the moment because Adrian needs them both immediately. They find Adrian in his sanctuary, surrounded by 3 mysterious shadows. The air is electric with danger, and even though Adrian tries to bench her, Serena refuses to back down. Meet Tony, the guy with scarred hands and eyes that have seen way too much. He drops a massive bomb on Serena. Her old man just had a death warrant signed 2 days ago. We're talking $500,000 for a clean hit? Or a cool $1 million to make it look like an oopsie? Serena's shook, but the middleman is a known Castellano puppet named Marco. Marco wants her dad erased before he can snitch. $20 million in fraud makes people real bloodthirsty, and dead men tell 0 tales from the prosecution. It gets worse. Marco is basically stalking her, mapping out her sleep schedule and tracking every single step. This dude is a certified creep. Total lockdown. Adrian's not playing, telling Serena she's trapped in the compound unless she's got a small army protecting her every move. Adrian's going full beast mode, beefing up security and prepping to chat with Marco. Serena's panicking, but Adrian's like, "Relax, I'm just negotiating the terms." In this world, you either talk or you go to war. Adrian's trying to stop a bloodbath before the first shot is even fired. "If I don't check him, people die." Adrian gets in her space, making it clear touching Serena means catching hands from the boss himself. He's walking a literal tightrope as between a peace treaty and a funeral. Serena finally sees the truth. The golden shadows are a life or death game. "I'm coming too," she says. "Hard no," Adrian snaps. He's going solo to handle business. End of discussion, don't wait up. Arguments? Pointless. Adrian rolls out at 8 with the heavy hitters. Serena's left spiraling while Elena serves up tea and don't worry vibes. Elena drops some truth bombs. This life is savage. You either handle the heat or get out of the kitchen. Serena's sipping honey and stressing. Elena asks the big question, can you love a guy who lives on a knife's edge? Warning, Adrian is already falling and he's falling hard. Walk away or get crushed. Serena's torn between the safety of his arms and the absolute nightmare of his enemies. Decisions. 2 hours later, the engines growl. Adrian's back looking whole but exhausted. He pours a double whiskey and finally takes a breather. The deal is done. Marco drops the hit. Adrian ignores the old money laundering. It's a classic, I won't kill you if you don't kill me handshake. But wait, there's a catch. Marco says a bullet would have been the easy way out. What's coming for her dad in court is way more brutal. Gregory Vale is going to die in a cage, his legacy a total joke. Serena's cold as ice. Good, let him rot. She's not playing. Hate is a slow poison, but Adrian gets it. They huddle up in the dark, just 2 souls trying not to drown in the drama. Adrian gets real. Are you here because you want to be, or because I'm your only exit strategy? He needs the truth, no cap. Yeah, I'm falling for you, he admits. Straight up, no shadows, no lies. He needs to know if her heart is actually in the game. He saw her fire when the world burned. Now he wants to know if she sees him when she looks at her future. Talk about a twist. Serena's terrified. The guns, the mob, the whole vibe is insane. But she's choosing to stay because a life without Adrian is a boring story. It's not just a thank you note anymore. It's real. She's all in, even if she can't name the feeling yet. A slow kiss seals the deal. They've crossed the point of no return. It's them against the world now, and the world is sweating. Whatever storm comes, they're ready. The trial, her dad's fall, it's all happening. Tonight she's safe in the arms of a very dangerous man. They're alive, and that's what matters. October brings the storm as Serena walks into court wearing navy and looking like a total boss. Adrian's driving, Marcus is trailing, and the paparazzi are acting like starving wolves. Serena's ready to walk through the fire for justice. Total chaos outside, flashes, screaming, people asking if she wants her dad to get the chair. Inside, the silence is deafening. The prosecutor, Linda, gives her the pep talk. The defense is gonna call you crazy. Just stick to the facts and drop the truth hammer. The room is packed with victims and snakes, and there's Gregory Vale, stripped of his power, looking like a dusty relic in an orange jumpsuit. Her dad's hair is ash, his face is pure salt. He's looking at her with a mix of rage and terror. The judge is ready. It's a laundry list of sins: fraud, theft, and trying to ice his own kid. The defense lawyer, a total shark, steps up to spin. This corporate giant plays the victim card, claiming criminals ruined him and his daughter is just crazy. Gregory wants the jury to think he is a harmless sheep, not the wolf he actually is. Serena is ready to snap, while her man Adrian keeps her grounded. Meanwhile, the court sits through a boring parade of money nerds. It is a total snooze fest of numbers, but the jury is starting to wake up and get angry. Then comes the real tearjerker, the human cost. A teacher's retirement gone, a business owner's life work deleted, and a charity completely wiped out. Talk about a villain move by this guy Gregory. The vibe in the room is straight up depressing as every witness drops a truth bomb. Gregory is sitting there like a stone statue, only moving to talk trash to his lawyer. Serena is wondering if he knows the floor is gone or if he is still looking for an exit. Recess hits. Adrian drags her to a quiet spot to decompress and tells her to just breathe. Serena is shaking like crazy while she takes a sip of water. She finally admits that seeing the faces of everyone he wrecked makes him even more of a monster. This guy did not just swipe cash, he literally deleted lives. He broke me too, she whispers, dropping the sad truth. Change of plans. The lawyer wants her on the stand right now to keep the drama fresh before the weekend. Adrian is being a total bodyguard, telling her she can totally walk away and stay silent if it is all too much. But Serena is not having it. She is done being scared and wants to look this villain in the eye. She marches to the stand, hand on a Bible she does not even believe in, ready to spill 24 years of toxic secrets. It is finally time for the main character to speak. The lawyer starts with the easy stuff, but then she drops the real question about the man who raised her. Serena takes a breath and says, he was only a father on paper. Once her mom died when she was 14, his human mask did not just slip. It completely exploded. He stopped acting human and turned into a walking nightmare of violence. Serena tried to be a ghost, but he would blow up over anything. A loud noise, a bad grade, or just her breathing. At 16, she forgot the dry cleaning, and he literally launched her into a wall with one hit. She ended up with a massive concussion, but he told the doctors she just tripped down the stairs. The defense lawyer is losing his mind, shouting objections, but the judge is not buying it. Linda goes through a brutal list of all the times he broke her ribs and split her lips. She is describing her life as a constant horror movie, keeping it totally cold and professional. The jury is gasping in shock at the details. Then the big reveal. Her dad took out a $2 million life insurance policy on her. She did not even know until the cops told her. How did that feel? Like a literal death sentence? It meant every single beatdown was just prep for him to cash in on her dead body. The defense tries to stop her, but the point is made. Linda asks if he ever threatened her straight up during his drunken rants. Oh, all the time. But 6 weeks before he tried to sell her off, he got wasted and told her that even trash has a price. He said people are sometimes worth more dead than alive, then just laughed like a total psycho. That was the moment she knew he was gone. The room is dead silent, and even the bad guys look shook. Serena realizes she was never a daughter to him, just an asset waiting to be sold off. After a few more questions, Linda steps back and the defense shark moves in for the kill with a smug look. This lawyer, Porter, gets up looking all smug and calls her testimony a great performance. He is dripping with fake vibes, asking if any of this drama actually happened in the real world. He is trying to plant that doubt to save his client, but we see the game. He brings up her crazy history, but Serena shuts it down. She saw a therapist because her mom died. Grief is not a mental illness, guys. He mentions her meds, and she is like, yeah, because I was living in a house of horrors and being terrorized every single day. Then he tries to gaslight her, saying her dad was just trying to handle a wild teenager. He brings up her psych ward stay at 17. Serena's knuckles are white, but she drops the bomb. She was there because she tried to end it all to escape his violence. Porter sneers, calling her a failure who just wants someone to blame. He says she made up this whole story just to burn her dad down and cozy up to her new criminal boyfriend. Serena's voice is absolute ice when she looks him in the eye and says, "No way." The lawyer laughs it off, saying it is a bit too convenient that she is turning on him right when he is broke. Serena snaps back that 9 years of abuse and a literal hit on her life is not some scripted fan fiction. It is the trauma she lives with daily. But it is just your word, right? The lawyer sneers. No cops, no witnesses, just her against a loving father. He says her medical records were probably just accidents or her hurting herself for attention. He is literally hovering over her like a total creep right now. He calls her a broken girl living in a fantasy world. Serena's rage is hitting a boiling point. She looks right at the guy in the orange jumpsuit, the villain of her life, and realizes she is not the one who is terrified anymore. She is the one with the power. She looks at the jury and drops the final truth. For 9 years, her dad shredded her soul. He crushed her until she was nothing, and when she became a problem, he put a $2 million price tag on her head just to save his own skin. She tells them no amount of lies can change the facts. Porter's smug face finally cracks. He tries to say he is not attacking her, but Serena calls him out for painting her as a psycho just to hide the real monster. She is done being afraid to speak. The silence in that room is heavy. Porter tries to ask a few more weak questions, but he has already lost the room. The defense is officially cooked. Linda keeps her final moments short and sharp to let the impact sink in for the jury. Why are you here, Serena? Because she is taking her story back. She wants every person he stepped on to know they are not invisible and that the truth actually matters. And with that, the main character exits the stand with her head held high. Her legs are shaking like glass, but Adrian grabs her hand immediately. He is her rock while she is feeling that mix of fear and hype. He tells her she was incredible, and she admits she just wanted to end him. Real victory right there. The prosecution is done, and the defense tries to bring in witnesses to say Gregory is a saintly businessman. Honestly, it sounds like fake news after everything Serena said. Then on Tuesday, the big boss himself finally takes the stand to tell his version of the story. Serena watches him put on his actor face. He is playing the sad widower and the struggling dad who is just in debt. He even squeezes out some fake tears for his troubled daughter. It is a total Oscar-worthy performance of pure evil that almost feels real, but Linda Hartwell is ready for the kill. She brings up the records from when Serena was 16. Serious head trauma. She asks if falling down the stairs was really the best lie he could come up with back then. The tension is reaching a breaking point. Gregory hisses that Serena lied about the pain, calling her a difficult girl who wanted attention. He even suggests she hurt herself. Linda points out that he was out at a 5-star dinner while his daughter was suffering at home. Talk about terrible parenting. Nice timing for a ghosting dad, Linda snarks. She gets right in his face and asks about that $2 million insurance policy he bought right before the hit. He tries to claim it was just financial security, but the jury is not buying his lies. Linda drops the receipts. Turns out this dad treated his daughter like a paycheck. His emails say she's the only way out of his mess. What's her price tag, Vale? He's losing it, shouting about jobs for $2 million. Yeah, right. Linda isn't buying it, she asks point blank. Did you hire a hitman to take her out? The hitman's ready to snitch for $25,000. Gregory's calling him a liar, but why would a guy already facing life frame an innocent man? He's trapped. His lawyer's useless now. Linda goes for the throat. He sold his own kid to pay off debts. Game over. The fire in his eyes, completely extinguished. Linda absolutely guts him in court. He's nothing but a cornered rat now. The defense folds and Linda turns the closing arguments into a literal execution. The defense is a total joke. The jury's gone for 6 hours, and Serena is spiraling hard. She's terrified he'll walk, but Adrian's there to hold her down. He's basically her anchor while she's shaking. 4:30 arrives and it's go time. The verdict is in, and Serena's heart is practically exploding in her chest. The jury looks like stone. Fraud, guilty. Stealing, guilty. Then the main event, attempted murder, guilty. The courtroom absolutely loses its mind. Chaos everywhere. Cameras flashing, people screaming. It's a circus. Gregory's throwing a tantrum until the judge shuts him down. For Serena, the nightmare is finally dead. That's it. He's never seeing daylight again. 40 years for the cash and life without parole for the blood. Cold, hard justice. The dam finally breaks for Serena. Gregory Vale is officially dying in a cage. He tries to look at her one last time, but the guards shove him off. Serena feels nothing. It's finally over. The press is swarming outside. Serena steps up to the mics, hands shaking, and puts her monster of a father on blast. He traded souls for profit. He didn't just steal money, he destroyed lives. But today, the truth won. Abuse has an expiration date, and Serena is finally stepping into the light. She escapes to the car and finally breathes. Adrian asks if she's okay, but she's just spent. The weight is gone, but the exhaustion is real. Adrian says it takes time to learn how to breathe again. That night, Serena's wide awake, staring at the ceiling, still feeling the trial's heavy ghost. Victory feels like dust. She finds Adrian in the library at night. The silence in the house is heavy, and she's just looking for some peace. She asks if revenge fixed him. He says it's just an ending, not a fix. Serena feels like a ghost, even with her dad in chains. Adrian tells her she's a survivor, not a ghost. Healing isn't a straight line, and some days are just going to be heavy. But she's moving, one foot in front of the other, right? Serena leans on him, finally done with the courtroom drama and the shadows. She's wondering what a normal life even looks like. She offers to ghost him so she isn't a burden, but Adrian isn't having it. He tells her she's the single best thing to ever cross his path. Total romance vibes. Timing's a wreck, but he's not letting her walk. He wants to help her build that sanctuary and protect the innocent. Serena seals the deal with a deep, aching kiss. She's staying for real, not because she has to, but because she wants him. He's the foundation of her whole future. Adrian's response? That's more than enough for me. They're lost in the moment. Tomorrow is for rebuilding and figuring out a normal life. But tonight, she's finally outlasted the nightmare. She won. Now she can actually live. She finds this absolute wreck of a building by the docks. Broken glass, rusted wire, total disaster. The agent is embarrassed, but Serena sees the vision. A sanctuary for survivors, she calls it. Adrian's skeptical because it's a dump, but he's got her back. It's a wreck? So was I, she says. Adrian's sold. They buy the place without even walking inside. 4 months later, the transformation is insane. It's spring and the ruin is gone. We've got gardens, stone gates, and a building that's been totally reborn. The ghost of the old place is dead. Welcome to Haven House, simple and true. Furniture is arriving, and Serena is directing traffic like a boss. The vibes are finally shifting to something good. Layout is fire, healing zones downstairs, and 12 private suites upstairs. Serena fought for every grant to make this happen. She's a fighter, not just a victim anymore. People doubted her because of her dad, but she shut them up with pure work. Adrian and Marcus show up lugging boxes. The dream is finally real. 1,000 items of bedding? Serena's laughing. The grand opening is tomorrow, and the city's big shots are coming. Adrian asks if she's nervous. Serena's low-key, terrified of failing the 8 women waiting for beds. Adrian grabs her hands and tells her to relax. You'll stumble, you'll fix it, but you'll never stop. It's all about the grind now. Fear is still there, but Serena's a total boss. Then a car pulls up. The trial reporter is back. It's showtime, guys. Sarah tracks the scoop while Serena and Adrian grind in silence. Serena levels up while Adrian confirms he is ride or die. Adrian trades his dark empire for a legacy that heals souls. Mafia boss going legit? Adrian chooses what is worth holding now. This sanctuary is the ultimate flex, proving Heartbeat's raw power. 2 broken souls finally vibe, and Serena drops a love bomb. 100 crates remain, but their love is the ultimate anchor. Opening day vibes, Serena stands tall with her ride or die. No degree, just trauma. Serena keeps it real for the cameras. Once invisible, now Serena is the warrior fighting back for souls. Haven House is the escape hatch for women trapped in silence. Survival is just level 1. Serena peaks. The crowd goes wild. 8 lives on deck. Serena masks the pressure of this victory. Shelters are maxed. The sanctuary is a final lifeline for many. Shadow women vanish daily, but Serena just built a new path. Sunset vibes. Serena preps for the absolute storm coming next month. Adrian is her anchor, shadowing her through every future crisis. Love is a war zone when both soldiers are battle-hardened survivors. Jackie arrives escaping a 3-time killer husband. The stakes are high. The price is 0. Serena offers a safe space to heal. Jackie feels lost, brainwashed by a monster's toxic, soul-crushing lies. Serena spits facts. Lies are poison. The road back is agonizing. Architecting her own destiny, Serena builds a sanctuary 1 heartbeat at a time. Maria, Tanya, and Lisa arrive with maps of trauma and silence. Small miracles bloom as laughter finally echoes through the sanctuary halls. 3 weeks in, Serena is drained. Adrian senses the brewing storm. A soul returns to the fire, leaving Serena spiraling in guilt. You provide the door, they walk through. You are no savior. So, how many made it? He asks. Only 11. 11 warriors still grinding. He tells her, focus on their hustle. Don't let one ghost ruin the light for the 11 who stayed. It's solid advice, but the pain still stings. As summer rolls in, the house finally finds its rhythm. Backed by a dream team, Serena handpicked herself. She's out here building bridges with local bosses, opening doors for women with messy past. A whole childcare empire is popping up, letting these moms reclaim their throne. These small wins are stacking up into a massive W. For the first time, that imposter syndrome is dead. Serena realizes she's not just dreaming, she's building a literal legacy. Her bond with Adrian? It's evolving from a wildfire into a steady, reliable burn. My man is literally scrubbing the blood off his hands to ditch the villain arc, and Serena is watching this metamorphosis with quiet hope. He's learning to use his power as a shield instead of a weapon, trying to become the hero she actually deserves. It's a July sunset, and the vibes on the terrace are heavy. "What's the move?" she asks. He looks at her, eyes reflecting the fading light, and drops a truth bomb. "The future," he admits. "Everything we've built together. I'm wondering if you're ready to lock this in forever." Her heart rate? Through the roof. He pulls out a velvet box and boom! A diamond that's practically screaming in the moonlight. "Marry me," he says, getting all emotional. "Not as a debt or some safe house, but as my equal. I want to build a whole world with you, no matter what it looks like." The M word is echoing in her head, a concept she'd trashed as impossible years ago. Trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. But this guy? He walked through the trenches with her and never let go. He saw the broken shards of her life and helped her forge them into a masterpiece. "Yes," she whispers, and you can feel the tension just snap. Once that ring hits her finger, their kiss feels like the start of a whole new era. By September, they're in the garden trading vows in front of Elena and Marcus. A tight, inner circle wedding for the ones who saw the whole transformation. Sarah Chen is in the building, not for a headline, but as a sister in arms. You've got shelter survivors sitting right next to Adrian's reformed mob enforcers and Serena's new legal allies. It's a wild mosaic of a life, totally unconventional, but 100% real. This is a straight-up celebration of their unique truth. Serena's clutching flowers grown in the very sanctuary she built, rocking a dress that's pure class. Adrian can't take his eyes off her. Total devotion. They're talking partnership and purpose, promising to be each other's rock in a world that's always shifting. They're declared one, and the cheers are a total chorus of joy. Husband. That title hits heavy and sweet. A deep stillness finally takes root in her soul. It's not just about love, it's the realization that she finally chose her own path, leaving the ghosts of her past behind for a future she actually owns. The lights are flickering, and the night is humming with music. She's dancing with her man, with Marcus, and with Jackie, who's now a legit friend instead of just a resident. She's soaking up every second of pure happiness. Eventually, she hits the terrace again, looking for a quiet moment under the stars to reflect. The sky is popping with starlight while the laughter fades into the background. Elena shows up with a toast for the new bride. "How's the view from the top?" she asks. "Beautiful and terrifying," Serena admits. Elena just laughs. "That's the secret, girl. You did the impossible this year. We all did. Look, this sanctuary, Haven House, it wouldn't exist without Serena's grit." Elena gets real about the past, whispering about that nightmarish night Serena's father brought her into a world of shadows. Life is a game of inches, and Serena could have been ruined. But she didn't break. She endured and punched back against the dark. Out of a total nightmare, she sculpted something breathtaking. Elena's looking for the source of that rare power. It takes a special soul to turn poison into peace. Most people would have folded, but Serena kept moving. That's the only bravery that matters. Then Adrian wraps her in his warmth, grounding her. "They're looking for you," he says, her response. "Let them wait." She melts into his embrace. This is her center. The months after the vows weren't easy. It was a season of brutal evolution. Her vision for the shelter blows up into something massive, a permanent foundation for survivors. She's recruiting a dream team, building bridges with the ivory tower elites, and turning walls into doorways. Then comes the public stage. Interviews where she literally peels back her skin to show the world her scars. At first it felt like a fresh wound, but then the feedback hits. After every speech, a stranger whispers 2 words: "Thank you." They see their own trauma in her voice, and suddenly the isolation is deleted. That connection is the fuel. Meanwhile, Adrian is navigating his own purgatory, cutting the veins of his old, dark empire. He's planting seeds in legit soil now. It's not a clean break. The old ghosts are still rattling their chains, and his past occasionally casts a shadow. But he's reaching for the light, and the hustle is everything. Winter hits, and then the phone rings, exactly 1 year after the scales of justice tipped. Detective Morris sounds like gravel. Gregory Vale is gone. A silent heart stopped beating in a cold prison cell. Serena sinks into a chair, feeling the air leave her lungs. No triumph, guys, just a massive, hollow silence. It's weird to feel nothing when a monster dies. Blood is a heavy burden, even when it's tainted, Morris tells her. She did what most wouldn't dare. She looked her tormentor in the eye and won. That's elite grit. After the call, she's sitting in her office, mapping out a new life. The man who tried to kill her light, the architect of her nightmares, is finally just a ghost. She's searching for any feeling, sorrow, relief, but finds only a numb gray void. When Adrian shows up, she's frozen. The news is hanging in the air like smoke. "My father's dead," she murmurs. He takes her hand, his pulse steady against hers. She confesses the void inside. Zero joy, zero closure, just a deafening silence. "There's no script for mourning a shadow," he whispers. "He died in the isolation he earned. That's justice. But a part of her is still mourning the father who never existed, the shield that turned into a blade." Adrian pulls her into his arms, letting the silence acknowledge the tragedy of what should have been. The dam finally bursts. She's not weeping for Gregory Vale, but for the ghost of the father he failed to be. She's grieving for the stolen childhood and the years lost to fear. When the tears dry, the weight on her chest finally shifts. The wounds aren't closed, maybe they never will be, but the load feels manageable. "What can I do?" he asks. "I need to get back to the mission," she says, checking the clock. He's worried she's burying the pain, but she knows the work is her medicine. Every woman saved in these walls is a reminder of why she survived the fire. She wipes her face and stands tall. "Mourning can wait, the living can't." Forward is the only direction left, she says. Adrian just nods, a silent promise to be the net if she ever falls. As the years pass, the shelter becomes a literal beacon, a blueprint for hope across the state. She writes her journey, not as a tragedy, but as a roadmap for everyone still lost in the dark. The world is listening now, and her words are turning into a massive chorus. She and Adrian find their own modest sanctuary, a place defined by peace, not power. The kid's question is hanging there, but there's no rush. Meanwhile, Jackie walks back into the hospital where she arrived broken, but this time she's wearing the white coat. Maria's life now smells like fresh bread at her new bakery, giving other survivors a start. Tanya's the voice for the voiceless. Lisa's raising a daughter named Hope in the Sisterhood of Strength. But look, the shadows still claim some. Not every path leads to the light. Some went back to the fire, others just vanished into the cold. 5 years later, Serena's comeback empire is officially crushing it. Serena skips the speech because her success speaks for itself. A battered girl begs Serena for an escape from hell. Serena vows protection, while Adrian watches his queen take charge. Evil Daddy failed. Now Serena's an unstoppable living legend. After saving lives, the power couple finally crashes together. Serena wonders if they'd be strangers without that blood debt. Adrian ignores the past, choosing their chaotic, beautiful reality instead. They swap love vows and hibernate under a massive blanket. Serena's no longer a statistic. She's the boss winning destiny. Her father failed, while Haven House turned trauma into gold. War's done, and Serena is finally totally free.